love the kind of woman that will actually just kill me. You know, when I left the house today, I was thinking, damn, I really hope some hot chick paints my brains all over some f***ing hallway. And here we are.
Hey there, Icarus here, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're taking a look at Pvt Stone, a gameplay mod that puts you in the shoes of the biggest, baddest dummy-mommy this side of Space Britain, points you in the general direction of the nearest demonic invasion, and asks you to just thoroughly eviscerate them. Fists, weapons, feet, all of these are viable options when it comes to Pvt Stone. And considering this mod is a skelegant joint, you're pretty much guaranteed a pretty good time. But before I get too deep, let's rewind a little and start at the top of what this mod has to offer. There's not a lot of surprises at the shallow end of the weapon roster here in Pvt Stone, but they sure do pack a punch. The pistol, for example, straight up jibs enemies, especially at the lower end, and the shotgun is lever action for her pleasure. I mean, we have been over this before. It is straight up the coolest type of shotgun reload, without question. Though I will add that the second coolest way to reload a shotgun is the one-handed vertical pump.
Our residents are trying to nap!
The animation for getting new shells in the thing ain't too shabby either. And of course we can't talk about shotguns without bringing up the standard bearer, that being the SSG. It's on fine form here in Pvt Stone, and in all honesty the only way you're going to be able to improve on perfection here is by, of course, shoving an extra pair of shells down the damn thing, courtesy of the alt fire. Surprisingly, you get additional variety with the other weapon slots here too. The chain gun slot, for example, also includes this pair of machine pistols. Sadly, they cannot be individually fired, I know, a tragic loss, but all things considered, they do the job reasonably well, even if they are essentially a blue balls option for when you get the real star of the show in this particular weapon slot, that being the chain gun. I will appreciate that having to wait around to finally using the big guy makes it all the sweeter when you finally do. But yeah, when it comes to pure, sustained, satisfying Dakar, accept no substitutes. I will say it's an interesting choice to have it projectile-based instead of hit scan. It certainly does add something to that sense of already considerable power you get from wielding it. Explosives! Certainly one of my favorite categories. In this regard, we also have double trouble in terms of options, first one being the grenade launcher. And on the surface of things, it works pretty much how you'd expect a grenade launcher to work. Except for the fact that the alt fire allows you to squeeze an extra explosive round into that barrel for double the explosive impact. If anything, it's an option that runs the risk of making the standard rocket launcher here feel somewhat pedestrian. Not that it would natively feel bad, it still feels tremendously impactful, but they've also jazzed it up a bit with a light sprinkling of what appears to be radioactive fallout post-impact. And don't think I haven't spotted those delightful little mushroom clouds either. As for the alt fire on the standard rocket launcher, well, if you've ever wanted to smack out the rhythm of We Will Rock You by Queen on your explosive rocket launcher of choice, then Pvt Stone has you covered. I have to point out one particular detail when it comes to the reload though. This rocket launcher has a goddamn grand ping.
Get ready to duck.
Onto the energy weapons, the plasma gun here has a few little subtle differences to it. It doesn't spit plasma quite as fast as the OG, but more eagle-eyed amongst you may notice that there's a little bit of scatter to the actual projectile itself, allowing for the possibility of just a smidge more collateral damage dealing. Not to mention, if you aim this thing at the floor, the projectile actually bounces. It's a shame that the same thing doesn't happen when aimed at walls, because I could just imagine the possibilities of being able to ricochet this thing round corners. As for other features, you need a flashlight. It may also give you cancer, but it's got a flashlight. You've waited long enough. Here we finally are at the BFG 9000. I gotta admit, this is a real nice looking edition of the BFG, if I say so myself. And in terms of its primary fire, you can actually hold this to charge it up, and that spread fire effect that was on the plasma gun, well, it's somewhat magnified here on the BFG 9K. I approve. Pvt Stone also offers an alternate way to fire off your BFG. It's kind of unorthodox, certainly not as effective as the primary method, but hey, variety is the spice of life. Speaking of which, this mod actually has an 8th weapon slot, and that's reserved for whatever the heck this is. Not sure of the name, but I can sure respect what happens when you pull the trigger. Single use only, mind you, which kinda makes sense. This is what happened when I turned it on a bunch of cyber demons. As you may have already witnessed, Pvt Stone is also pretty adept at kicking the ever-loving heck out of demons, quite literally. This can be done with any weapon, and can actually be done with greater effect provided you have a run-up first. But what you may not know is she's also a dab hand with the fists, which, yes, provided the enemy lives long enough, will allow you to drum out the rhythm to We Will Rock You. Sensing a theme. Naturally, the fists can be augmented with the analog to Berserk here, which is actually triggered via a meter. There's a little red bar on the lower right-hand side, and by pressing mouse 1 and mouse 2, that can be activated when full. It can also be activated with other more unique items. This can pick up, for example, will function essentially as a Berserk kit, allowing you to bypass the meter, but does carry the caveat of setting your health to 1. Not that it's too much of a problem, you do have a period of invulnerability, and it can be recouped by ripping and tearing. You may have also noticed a blue meter. This has 2 portions to it, the first of which, up to a point, will allow you to tear a chunk of rock out of the very ground itself, and allow you to huck it directly at a demon. With enough extra charge, however, you'll be able to chuck a grenade directly at a demon's head, resulting in quite a pleasing bonk noise before detonating. The nice thing about these latter meter-driven abilities is, much like the kick, they can be utilized regardless of what weapon you're wielding. And that includes the other melee option, a sword by the name of Demon's Bane. As you might imagine, this sword does the slicing and the dicing to a perfectly functional degree, but also features another type of swing, allowing you to essentially charge it, resulting in a charged energy slice that lets you carve a little further. As for the other feature of the sword, she gives it a little lick, little tongue action. Does it do anything? I don't honestly know. You can get the sword covered in blood and then lick it, but I don't think I've ever found a good opportunity to see if that gives you any meaningful stat changes. Oh, and having double blue meter gives you an explosive bullet. I keep finding things. Something worth looking out for during the course of gameplay are a few unique barrels. It's not just standard nukage, you can also find yourself a keg of Guinness, which will recoup 25 points of health. And then you got the big boy barrels, which are very hard to miss, and when you shoot them, you practically get a mini nuke. Happily, it seems like Pvt Stone has more explosive resistance than the average protagonist. Works for me. But, turns out if you straight up kick a barrel into an explosive state, she is immune from the effects outright. How exactly does that work? Well, I would ask questions, but I'm far too distracted by the more significant assets of Pvt Stone's loadout. While we are focused down here in this corner of the HUD, I am quite impressed with the unique clothing types depending on what armor pickups you've gone for, and also the expressions and damage reflection depending on your health. What can I say? I appreciate the attention to detail. Oh, and if any point you get bored with the prospect of beating demons to death with your bare hands, you can always spawn a football. Probably not the most effective way to deal with demons, but sure is fun. Among your travels, you may also stumble across a few of these suspicious-looking boxes. You can break them open, and they will often contain unique items. One such possibility is a Hadron Particle Capsule, giving you 3 extra charges in your throwable ability. It's a much more powerful prospect, let's just put it that way. As for other lucky picks from the cardboard box, you can get, this thing. It seems to be alive, and it functions a heck of a lot like the cerebral bore from Turok 2. I approve. Sadly, it's a single-use item, much like the Hadron charges. Once it's done, it's done. But hey, you never know, the next lucky dip could give you a LCD wristwatch game. It appears to be haunted. It seems to actively deplete my armor every time I mess up, but when you do finally land it, you get a little bit back. I'm not sure I really need this in my life, in all honesty. I'd rather just pick up armor the old-fashioned way, you know, around the level. It's a good job then that if you get bored, you can just chuck it like a grenade. Last but not least, you can also eat a demon core. Probably not medically advisable, but it does give you an aura of damaging invincibility. Shame I had bugger all around me to kill when I finally got my hands on one. Oh yeah, I should probably mention the time I drank the DRLA water and summoned a bird that flips my enemies off till they die. That's also a thing that can occasionally happen. Welcome to Space Britain, a ruined hellscape where the only place really worth visiting is the pub. Not a lot of difference from regular Britain, if we're going to be perfectly honest. But this map in particular serves as kind of like a warm-up map, if you so choose, before whatever map set you have loaded here with Pvt Stone. It's a neat little environment for you to explore, interact with NPCs, wake up drunkards, and investigate your local shipping container full of jammy dodges. Nice to see accuracy in a mod, to be honest. That's the minimum purchase size, an entire shipping container. If you want to know what's in the local watering hole, also known as the Buxom Battle Axe, well, I'm sorry, that's privileged information with patrons only. If you pop over to my Patreon page, link in the description, you too can get access to that extended and ad-free version of this video for $1. And you'll get early access for your trouble. But yeah, you're probably wondering what else there is to do around here for fun. Well, all you need to do is fire off a weapon, and the demons will come running. Funnily enough, you can enlist a bit of extra help for this section if you so choose. That aforementioned sleeping drunkard, yeah, you can wake him up by drinking their booze and running away. In all honesty, I expected them to fistfight me, but as it happens, they're more interested in fist-fighting demons. Surprisingly, this fight goes all the way up to a cyber demon, and it's only once defeated that the Hell TARDIS is finally fixed, allowing you to leave the map. Oh yeah, there's a Metroid pickup as well. Transforms you into Samus, and gives you a chargeable arm cannon, which at the top end is actually pretty robust. Never seen it turn up during the course of standard gameplay though. Wondering if it's Space Britain exclusive. Mercifully, you don't have to play through this map, it's completely optional, but I still find it a neat little addition. There's also a few optional mods you can load up with Pvt Stone. One allows you to kick around inanimate objects during the course of a level, often to an amusingly improbable degree, but there are certain caveats. You can't kick around trees. Yeah, them roots are strong. And there's another mod that I loaded with it, kind of by accident because it wasn't necessary, that turns certain environmental sprites into these ominous stone skeletons. I was just wondering what the deal was. They just seemed to be haunting me throughout the course of several maps, and that's when I found out it's actually a special add-on for a specific map pack by the name of Revolution. It's an old map set, but it checks out. Final map is a kind of neat Icon of Sin swap, where instead of the Icon of Sin, it's this giant flesh god type thing in a stone throne that, once killed, doesn't kick you out into the credits, but instead spawns an additional enemy for you to fight in the form of this skeleton god type thing. So yeah, that's what that add-on is actually intended for. And all your weapons go away. You have to fist fight them. You have to fist fight God. So yeah, I'd say that this mod is an easy recommend. It's got oodles of a personality, and it sure doesn't hurt that the weapons are tremendously satisfying to use. The melee is quite literally punchy, and that meter system encourages you to keep going back to it and using those specials once the meters are full. Love those goofy one-off special items, love me pints, love me footy, love me Pvt Stone. Simple as. But till next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.